Hello, folks, and thank you for joining us, and welcome to the biggest crypto show that nobody watches. It is August 30th. We're closing in to the end of the month. So summer is winding down. For those of you who have kids, you're probably already back at work taking care of those little guys. So I'm joined today by our Director of Research, Nick Mancini. Doug has off today. He's currently in the air with the friendly skies. Nick, how you doing today, bud?
Doing well. End of month, no complaints.
That's true. Or as we like to refer to it, the end of an epoch, right?
End of an epoch, yes, sir.
It's the end of an epoch. Folks, let's just jump right into today's show. There's a lot to talk about regarding just Bitcoin, Ethereum, and what the long markets are looking at. So that's what we wanted to discuss with you today. Not really going to get into much of anything else. I know everybody saw what came out with Avalanche and leaked videos with attorneys and stuff like that. But until that story makes a few rounds and a few more people, weigh in on it, it came out on a pretty weak source. Although the video is quite damning, we get that, but we just don't want to get wrapped up into that right now. So here we go. We go into the markets. If you saw the tweet this morning, we had the hottest on Twitter. It's being led by Ultra UOS and coming up second with Uniswap. You see VGX there on number 6 now. Voyager's up 304% in the tweet count, but let me tell you something. The coin, the token has really been gaining a lot of action volume. As a matter of fact, the last time I looked over on Coinbase, I think the volume on VGX alone was up around 17 million in the last 24 hours. And that's huge considering it had been down when it was around the 26 cent price mark at about 1 million volume. So, VGX, you got the process going through. They got some orders coming away. And what do we got? Auction. We actually have the next Tuesday, the 6th, is going to be an announcement of qualified bidders with an auction going into a week after that or so. I know today there was a little bit of the qualified creditors call had a thing. I'm actually going to look in Twitter after this and see what the takeaways are from there. I know DJ Crypto and a few were in there asking questions. So we have GLMR Moonbeam coming in after VGX, down 6% price, but up 219%. GLMR is one of those tokens that I am watching as we go through this ridiculous bear market. Looking at the macro, everything, volatility. I can't stay quiet about this. Say everything is kind of around break even right now. Nick's going to come on. He's going to tell you about what our trading morning was looking like. The volatility was outrageous. The volume was outrageous. Candles were flickering like we've never seen before, but we're going to get that in a minute. Bitcoin, Ethereum, obviously big drops on the day. It was a hang on to your handlebars kind of moment. Nick, let's just go into it because I really want to get analysis of what happened today. I mean, you and I, our hair was messed up from all the wind of the roller coaster of a market chart. You and I had put on some really good trades, but it was really a dumpster fire. So let me pull up your chart. Let's go into this.
Yeah, so I think probably the best place to start, and I should have had the tweet ready, but covered this as well in the daily show. The big news this morning seemed to be related to the Taiwan military firing a shot, or allegedly firing a shot at a drone that was, we don't have a whole lot of information, but basically it seems like Taiwan fired a shot at Chinese military technology. Obviously that could, be enough to spark, higher tensions, potentially further action. So the markets immediately reacted. I think that tweet dropped at 6:30. We can see exactly what happened after that dropped. Price on equities dropped more than, full percent, all the way nearly 2% at the low. And then very similar for Bitcoin, obviously, much higher beta compared to equities. But if we go to that, that mid 6 o'clock time frame, about over 3% drop for Bitcoin. So there's kind of our catalysts. We also had Probably job openings numbers that I don't think Jerome Powell would probably like. More job openings means there's more jobs to fill. There's more opportunity. There's demand in the labor market. So I don't think Jerome is going to be very happy with that. And I think that kind of 1-2 punch was enough to really push us off over the edge, especially, a lot of tweezers up here too, a lot of wick action above that 20.4 number, and 20.4 we've called out many times before as being strong. So basically Bitcoin back near the recent lows, not entirely an inspiring hourly candle, but we're only 10 minutes in. So, basically what you'd want to see is a close of a next candle above probably like 19.8. If you think that it's going to continue higher to 20, if it's completely unable to claim 20.1 or at least the VWAP, which will probably be 20.1, 20.2, then I would expect it to further roll over. So if we do get a recovery up here, look for potential rollover. Could be, a very ugly kind of entry head and shoulders forming in that scenario as well, as something to watch for. Then if we reclaim 20.1, you would probably expect it to try and reclaim that 20.4 level. Although it does seem that that's going to be, a bit challenging considering, our stairs up and our literal elevator down. In 2 days worth of movement was wiped out in just a few hours. So kind of tells you exactly where the market's at. To kind of bring it over into technicals, and then we talked about this in both the trade the chain community, and I put it on Twitter as well, is how technically driven this rally was before. So if we draw the fib, which is basically between the peak and the trough of whatever movement you're looking at, we can see it bounced in the 0.5, was rejected at the 0.618, and moved down to the 0.382. That's why we called 1480 out in the trade the chain community. And obviously that hit very well. And I said, if it would need to break down here to continue lower, or it may cycle back up and try and tag the 618 fib again, which would be 1530, 1540 before potentially rolling over again. And you can see in that scenario, maybe we make it up to the VWAP, that's 1550. That would create potentially another kind of rollover opportunity, very similar to Bitcoin. And then if we can reclaim this level, then you would estimate, recent highs again, maybe a swing failure pattern up. But, again, everything is going to be driven by equities. And if we're looking at equities, I don't know if this is a chart that I really want to buy. Just looking at, there's potential some bearish divergence forming here. And, we did have some also and right here, which led to a 1% rise. But then it was immediately beaten back to a 2% drop. So you can't really trust that a whole lot right now. The fact that we're under 4K is not inspiring. If we lose 39.50, it's pretty much open season down in this range. I would expect probably it to fall all the way to 38.50, back towards the lows. I know many people, I've heard 3K, I've heard 2,900, I've heard 3,400. Who knows where the bottom is, but we have to obviously break lows before that. So not going to go ahead and call that yet. But, if you kind of zoom out, Bitcoin, Ethereum, ETH, all kind of forming a very similar pattern here. And it's right where you would want it to catch for bullish continuation, and right where you would start to think about potential bearish continuation. So definitely, we're in a scenario where it's truly 50-50 at this level. But I think likely you'll see an attempt at a recovery, and I would estimate a swift rejection. But we have seen some surprise strength out of these little mini rallies. So my bias is in a continued bear fashion. But I will admit that potentially heading into the start of September could see a little bit more relief from what we just saw today.
All right, very cool. You've been doing some pretty good stuff on your trades and seeing what's in there. I know in the community, the trade chain community, you've been putting up a lot of analysis in the morning. As a matter of fact, when I was putting in that short scalp today, this morning that we posted, I actually went back to your morning support and resistance theses just to make sure I could, kind of button up my target range.
Yeah, we've been very spot on with those morning analysis levels, And I guess for anyone watching who's not in the trade the chain community, I'm not telling you exactly where to enter and where to exit. But if you follow the markets, if you track our analysis, understanding, both the momentum of the markets, key levels, where I believe direction is going to go, where I'm placing my trades, where Alex is placing his trades. We're not telling anybody what to do, but we're definitely letting people know what we're doing and what our outlook is on the market. And we've been pretty spot on. Monday through Friday, I'm always in there. And then, occasional Saturday, Sunday posts as well. Like Sunday I was posting all day because it was such a big day. So
yeah, Sunday was a great day. It was really interesting. One of the things a lot of our members ask us who don't do the trade, who don't do the intraday trading or the intra-week trading is, are we approaching levels where it is now time to accumulate again, time to start putting money into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe even some of those, high value altcoins, protocol coins, to start building that bag again for the next cycle, right? Because, the way it works is, and going through 3 of these cycles myself and Nick, as you well know, with each cycle, the goal is to accumulate more and more value to where your positions are on your long-term holds. So, my goal is to have more Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some grade A alts than I did the cycle before going into the last bull market. Obviously, I know there's a lot of pressure on a lot of people, particularly who watch this channel, because of Voyager and and the whole holdback. But who knows? Maybe that saved you a little money too. I'm included in there as well. But is now the right levels, in your opinion? I'll tell you my opinion, but I want to hear your opinion for the long term bag.
As in, like, what do we mean by long term?
For instance, the 35 Bitcoin that you have that you'll never sell. Adding to that bag.
I've been pretty public about this. I'm not buying here. I've still been pretty confident that we'll at least meet the lows again, and that's kind of typically the way that market structure works is if you miss an initial trade, more often than not, it's going to come back to where you bought in or took a sell or opened a short or whatever. It's typical market structure. It's very rare that we experience what we experienced in March of 2020. So in my opinion, even though we had a violent sell-off, given the macro condition, given the outlook going into Q4, and a lot of the things that we've been discussing coming to fruition, such as energy crisis in Europe, such as Chinese turmoil, are obviously, beginning to become more real. And so I'm glad that I stuck to my gut, and have not made any initial, or any long-term purchases, because it does seem that based on where we're at now, especially if equities end up meeting their lows, that crypto is either meeting its lows or making new lows. And so in my opinion, I'm satisfied with the narrative that we've been driving home. That is, there's plenty more upside to be had, but there's still likely to be some downside. And that's, I would rather wait to see how that downside flushes out than make a premature bet in the middle of a recession, while I'm staring at a very hairy, ugly beast down the road. I don't want to, if someone told you that, Cthulhu is coming out of the ocean in 6 months, why would you buy risk assets? That monster is coming to ruin your life. And I although it's that I'm clearly using that as a metaphor for the upcoming recession, it's just the writing's on the wall. So why buy now when you know that things are likely to get worse, and that you can just listen for the signal of when things, if and may get better, that's when you start to buy again.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, particularly after after seeing a friend of mine back in June when Ethereum hit $2,000. And of course, we were coming off the high of 46, 47 back at the beginning of the year, end of last year, which was so exciting. I love trading Ethereum at that level. But he dropped 7 figures into Ethereum at $2,000, saying, I can't believe it's this low. And, what happened. He lost half the value of that Ethereum going into July. So it's a big nut to crunch, big gamble. I do think we're going lower. I'm going to be in agreement with you on this one. I agree that we go lower and we go into the fall where we're going to get more clarity on where that bottom may look like. Also, for the sake of all the Voyager people, I actually hope we go into the fall so that, you know, maybe their dry powder can get released and stuff. But we have a comment from Never Quit in the chat. I think between the end of September and the beginning of November is going to be that period for lows. Obviously, we'll get more clarity. We'll follow you, Nick, for FOMC stuff, because that'll definitely add to it as far as what the Fed is going to do. But I think at this point, we're all of the belief the Fed is just going to crush the economy, raise inflation. We're going to have these, these Fed hikes going through the end of the year. So I think there's more to go. And I know a lot of us have been temporarily hurt from the market. But at the same time, I guess gathering the leaves and putting some shekels together in order to get stuff, I couldn't be more excited that it's going lower, because this is a lower low than even I predicted, a year ago on the tubes. This is a greater than 70% setback. So we'll see. I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, I know. If Petruccio is watching, he might disagree. I'd be very curious to hear what his thoughts are, because he's been quite the contrarian towards us, and there's definitely been a time to be a contrarian in relation to our analysis, and he's timed that very well. But I know he's been very much a bull at these levels, so I'd be very curious to hear what he has to say, because I know he accumulated quite a lot, towards the recent lows, meaning, 17 and a half, triple digit ETH, all that fun stuff. So, we also still have the merge in a couple weeks. I think that's what, 2.5 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, what's going to happen there, Nick? I mean, at this point, was the trade 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I personally think so. And again, in relation to what we talked about last week, is the trade was literally a high beta correlation to the S&P 500. There was no decorrelation or Ethereum really stretching its wings in comparison to anything else. It was literally just, it was just the one asset that was talked about the most while the S&P was rising. So in that case, I'm still of the belief that the merge is completely irrelevant towards the entire narrative in relation to the price action of ETH. And I'm going to continue to trade it as such. So as long as my weather vane is pointing in a direction, meaning the S&P 500, I'll continue to trade in that direction. I think anyone who's like looking at the merge and being like merge, deflation, success, new 2.0, and being like that's a bull narrative. Well, crypto is moving into a very institutionally driven and especially conceptually driven market. Eventually, L1s are going to trade on where their value is created, how much money they're bringing in, not just the developers and the TVL. Eventually, Bitcoin is going to have to, we're going to have a very serious conversation as to whether Bitcoin is worth being the biggest asset, the biggest crypto asset on earth. It doesn't do anything. And so, we'll have to judge these things from different perspectives, which may give it, different valuations. And I think that is beginning to, I think that will probably start at the low end of this next bull market or bear market, that we're in. So in my opinion, if you're trading ETH based on fundamentals, well, your fundamentals are currently incorrect based on A, the shift in the network, and B, the perception of the market once the dust settles.
Agreed.
You'll start to hear people echo that more often than not soon.
Yeah, I agree. And it was particularly with Bitcoin needing to be the largest market cap in the, on the chart. It doesn't. I'm over that at this point.
I think ETH has a good chance to flip it too in relation to that conversation.
I think, well, if we put it in general terms, utility has a great chance of flipping it.
Yeah.
And it's really going to be the player or the players who provide the most. So I think the merge will allow for great expansion across the Ethereum network. I'm not sure it's going to change your life financially. So.
No.
All right, good stuff, folks. Thank you for joining us today. A little bit of a short show. Just wanted to talk about Bitcoin and where that bottom is going to come in. I've yet to see on social media anybody calling it, as hey, it's today. The bottom is in. And if Kramer does, just know that that's all a lie. If he calls anything, just go the opposite.
I think he did say that he's bullish going into Q4.
Well, there you go. We're gonna have a bear market. This is great. Yeah, inverse Kramer's kind of hilarious. Been making a little bit of money off of those picks alone. So with that said,
trading account that we mentioned maybe last week or the week before, I think has already tripled their holdings from the inverse Kramer signals.
Oh yeah, the inverse Kramer signals are no joke. I mean, seriously, that's like Pelosi copy trading. It's almost spot on.
Yeah.
So, First Coast Crypto, Never Quit, Vasic, Gars, all you guys, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it as always. Hang on to your handlebars. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget to follow Nick's Daily Show. We're actually going to switch that Daily Show over to my channel to get some more eyeballs on it. But thanks, Lucas. But it's the best 15 minutes. I mean, don't even come to this show. Just watch his 15 minutes and the rest of your day is set. Link to our free newsletter is at the top of the live chat. It's free, so no harm in picking that up. Very actionable. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much, folks.